right, ready to dive into something I think we've all come across, right?
Hi.
Spaving.
Spaving.
Like when you feel like you're spending money, but you're supposedly saving money. And today, we're going to unpack 3 common spaving traps
Okay.
that we found in the sources.
Oh,
And we're going to see how they try to hook us.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting how spaving really plays on our desire, our innate desire for a deal, right?
Yeah.
Retailers are really exploiting this through, all these tactics that they've carefully crafted over time.
Mm-hmm.
And they often lead us to spend, as you said, more than we intended.
Yeah. Like the classic, spend $100, get 50% off.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds so tempting.
Mm-hmm.
But if you only needed a $25 item,
Mm-hmm.
Did you really save?
Right.
So first up on our list, the infamous BOGO.
Yeah, but BOGO can be really deceptive.
Mm-hmm.
The sources actually highlight how stores will manipulate pricing to make the deal seem better than it actually is.
Right, yeah.
So take strawberries, for example.
Okay.
2 pints at a higher base price might seem like a steal, but what if you only need 1?
Yeah.
You end up with a bunch of wasted food, and obviously, it dings your wallet, right?
Yeah.
You're not saving money.
It's a classic case of too much of a good thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We see that a lot, especially with perishables, but it applies to, non-food items too.
Absolutely.
I'm curious about, those free shipping thresholds. I've definitely fallen for that before.
Yeah.
A lot.
Free shipping.
Yeah.
A powerful psychological trigger.
Yeah.
The sources actually use a scenario where you've got, you need to spend, let's say, an extra $20 to reach like a $75 free shipping threshold to avoid a, let's say, $15 shipping fee. So
Yeah.
that extra $20,
Right.
is that really saving you money?
Yeah.
Or are you just being pushed to buy things that you don't need?
That's a great point. It's so easy to just be like, oh, free, and forget about the whole cost of everything.
Right.
Speaking of getting blinded, those spend more, save more promotions.
Yes.
Those are a personal weakness of mine.
Yeah, well, these percentage off deals, they are enticing.
Very enticing.
But they're relying on a psychological tactic called anchoring.
Oh, okay.
Your sources explain how presenting a higher initial price makes the discounted price, even if it's still beyond your budget,
Yep.
seem much more appealing.
Yeah, it's like they're setting this reference point, right?
Right.
So that the discount looks way more impressive than it actually is.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
Huh.
Knowing, now how these tactics work
Right.
makes me really wonder what strategies, like what are things that we can do to avoid them?
Right.
What did you find in the sources?
Well, the sources really emphasize mindful spending and budgeting, as key defenses against this idea of spaving.
Yeah.
And so by having that budget, you're prioritizing your needs.
Yeah.
And you can resist those impulse buys that are fueled by this really clever marketing.
So it's all about having a plan.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And sticking to it.
absolutely.
What other practical tips are there?
Wow.
Did you find any in the sources?
Yeah, making a list is a very simple yet powerful tool,
Guess.
and it helps you to focus on those essential purchases.
Mhm.
So you're not swayed by this tempting deals on things you don't really need,
Yeah.
especially at the grocery store,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like having a shopping compass to keep us on track.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
What about like avoiding those impulse purchases?
Right.
Any strategies for that?
Well, the sources suggest waiting 24 hours,
Okay.
or even longer, really,
Okay.
before making a non-essential purchase.
Mm.
So this cooling off period, if you will,
Yeah.
allows you to evaluate,
Yeah.
is this purchase really aligning with my needs
Mm.
and with my budget, rather than just being driven by some, fleeting desire?
Like, do I actually need this, or
Yeah,
do I just kinda want this?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back to our deep dive into spaving. So we've explored some common tactics, but the sources that you shared also delve into the psychological underpinnings of why these tactics work so well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think is so fascinating about this whole topic, right? It's not just about marketing.
Right.
It's about understanding our own minds, how we respond to these subtle cues.
That's right.
So what kind of psychological tricks are retailers using to influence our spending?
Well, one really powerful tactic is the scarcity principle.
Right.
And this is where we tend to place a higher value on things that are perceived as scarce or limited.
Right.
So think about those, those limited time offers or while supplies last type of messages.
Oh, yeah, the FOMO, right?
Yeah.
The fear of missing out.
Ex-
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that many times. It creates that sense of urgency, right?
Right.
Like you have to act now before the opportunity's gone.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another one is anchoring, where the first price that we see becomes a reference point.
Right.
And it influences how we perceive subsequent prices.
Okay.
And so your sources use the example of a clothing store, for example, marking up the, quote, original price to make a sale price seem more appealing.
So they're like creating an illusion, right?
Right.
That there's this bigger discount than there actually is.
That's right.
That's pretty clever, but a little sneaky.
Yeah. Retailers also use framing.
Okay.
And this is where they highlight the positive aspects of a deal
Right.
while kind of downplaying any potential downsides.
Mm-hmm.
So, BUGO deals are good for that.
Yeah.
They emphasize the free item.
Yeah.
Even if the price of the first item is inflated to compensate.
It's all about presentation.
Right.
Right. Make it sound as irresistible as possible.
Yeah.
Even if the actual savings are, quite minimal.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about like social influence?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that plays a big role
Yeah.
in how we decide to spend, especially with the rise of social media.
Oh, absolutely. Social influence is a really powerful driver of consumer behavior.
Yeah.
And so we tend to look to others for cues on what to buy,
Mm-hmm.
especially from people we admire or trust,
Right.
And so retailers, they leverage this through testimonials, reviews, influencer marketing.
It's that whole like everybody's doing it mentality.
That's right.
If we see like our friends or, influencers we follow are raving about something or a deal,
Right.
we're more likely to kind of jump on the bandwagon.
That's right.
Right.
And so, these psychological tactics combined with these really clever marketing strategies, it creates this potent cocktail that can easily lead to overspending.
For sure.
But the good news is that once we, understand these tactics, we can start to develop defenses against them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping to get from this whole deep dive, right?
Yeah.
Not just, understanding the problem, but like, okay, what are some strategies to kind of overcome this?
That's right.
What do the sources suggest?
Well, one key strategy is really to just slow down.
Okay.
Before making any purchase, especially a non-essential one, take a moment to just pause and reflect.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really need this item?
Right.
Does it align with your values, your financial goals?
Think about like creating that space between the impulse
Yes.
and actually taking the action.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another strategy is to focus on the true cost, not just the perceived savings.
Oh.
So don't get, distracted by those big, percentage off signs or free offers. Calculate the actual cost.
Right.
And ask yourself, is this truly a good deal?
So it's about doing the math.
Right.
Making sure you're not being tricked or swayed by the marketing tactics.
Exactly.
Okay.
And when it comes to those, spend more, save more promotions,
Mm-hmm.
be especially cautious,
Mm-hmm.
calculate how much you actually need to spend
Yeah.
to reach that discount threshold.
Right.
Ask yourself, is it really worth it?
Right.
You might end up spending more than you intended.
Yeah, that's definitely a trap I've fallen into before.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get excited about, like a big percentage and then lose sight of the overall cost.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's also important to shop around and compare prices,
Yeah.
Don't just settle for the first deal that you see.
Right.
Take some time to, research different retailers, make sure you're getting the best value.
It's about being an informed consumer, right? Like do your research, do your due diligence before you commit.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about, the psychology of spaving and some strategies to kind of resist these sneaky tactics. Now, I'm curious to see how these tactics play out, in real world situations.
Sure.
What kind of examples did you find in the sources?
Well, let's start with online shopping.
Okay.
Because this is, a breeding ground for these spaving tactics.
For sure.
One common tactic is the use of countdown timers.
Oh, yeah.
So that creates this sense of urgency, right?
Yeah.
Pressure to buy before the deal expires.
Yeah. those little clocks ticking away,
Exactly.
making you feel like you're going to miss out on something if you don't act right now.
That's right. Another one is personalized recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
Those customers who bought this also bought that suggestion.
Oh, yeah. Those are so sneaky.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they know what I'm interested in and what I'm likely to buy.
Right, and retailers use sophisticated algorithms
Oh, wow.
to track our browsing history, our purchasing history.
Right.
And then they use that information to target us with these personalized recommendations.
So it's like they're reading our minds.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
And those recommendations can be very, very effective.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if you're, if you're in a shopping mood.
Yeah, feeling impulsive.
Exactly.
Okay, so countdown timers, personalized recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
Check.
Right.
What other online spaving tactics should we be aware of?
Well, another one is the use of free gifts.
Ooh.
Or bonuses with purchase.
Yeah.
And these can be very, very tempting.
Who doesn't love a freebie? Right. But I can see how that could be like a sneaky way to get us to spend more than we intended.
Exactly.
Right.
Those free gifts are often, just a way to sweeten the deal and make it harder to resist.
Yeah.
But it's important to ask yourself, do I really need the item that I'm buying just to get the free gift?
Right. It's all about keeping a clear head.
That's right.
Yeah. And not letting those tempting extras, cloud our judgment.
That's right.
Now let's move on to grocery stores.
Okay.
Another hotbed of spaving activity.
Yeah, for sure.
One classic tactic is strategic placement of items, right?
Yeah.
On the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about this before. It's not just like what they're selling, but where they're selling it.
That's right. Yeah. Retailers, they carefully arrange those products to maximize, those impulse purchases.
Yeah.
And so the most expensive items are often placed right at eye level. Right.
While the more affordable options are, tucked away on lower shelves.
So they're making those the pricier items more visible, more tempting to grab.
Exactly. Yeah, and they also tend to place, those tempting treats, like right near the checkout lines.
Oh, yeah.
Where, we're more likely to just, grab something.
Yeah, those candy bars and the magazines.
Exactly.
Right there at eye level when you're standing in line.
That's right.
Hard to resist. What about those end of aisle displays?
Oh, yeah.
Those always catch my attention.
Those end caps, those are prime real estate for these spaving tactics.
Yeah.
And so, retailers use them to highlight, products that they want to move quickly.
Right.
Often using, eye-catching signage.
Yeah.
Tempting discounts.
Yeah, it's like they're creating a sense of urgency.
That's right.
Right. Like, ooh, got to grab these before they're gone.
That's right.
Yeah, and they often use those displays to promote products that are complementary to other items that you might be buying.
So if I'm buying chips, there's going to be a nice, tempting, dip display right next to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about, encouraging you to buy more, to, fill up your cart with things that you might not have even planned on getting.
Yeah.
Another tactic grocery stores use is loyalty programs.
Oh, yeah.
Rewards cards.
Yeah. Those little cards that promise you discounts and special offers. I have a whole keychain full of them.
Yeah, I bet. Well, retailers use those programs to track our purchasing habits.
Okay.
And then they can tailor their marketing efforts to our individual preferences.
So it's like you're getting to know us.
That's right.
Figuring out, what makes us tick as consumers.
Yes, right.
And then they use that information to, send us, targeted coupons.
Right.
Or promotions, tempting us with deals on products they know we're likely to buy.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a clever strategy, but it makes me wonder, are we really saving money?
Right.
Or we're just spending more on things we wouldn't have bought otherwise?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And it's important to be mindful of, how those loyalty programs are influencing our spending habits.
Okay, so we've covered online shopping, grocery stores.
Uh-huh.
What other areas of life are susceptible to spaving tactics?
Well, spaving can show up in any area where we spend money, really.
Mm-hmm.
Even our favorite subscription services.
Oh, yeah.
The monthly subscriptions, like streaming services, music, meal kits, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It can really add up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how does spaving work in the world of subscriptions?
Well, one common tactic is the use of introductory offers.
Okay.
Those free trials.
Or discounted rates
Mhm.
for the first few months.
Right.
Those can be very, very tempting.
Yeah.
And they are a great way, you know, to try out a service without having to commit to the full price.
Yeah.
But retailers, they know that once we're hooked on a service, we're more likely to continue subscribing even after the introductory offer expires.
Right.
And then the price goes up.
So it's all about getting us in the door
That's right.
with a tempting deal.
Exactly.
And then hoping that we'll just stick around.
That's right.
Yeah.
Even when the price increases.
Okay.
Another tactic is the use of tiered pricing plans.
Okay.
And so subscription services, they'll offer, multiple pricing tiers with different levels of access and features.
It's like the basic plan, the premium plan,
Right.
and then like the super duper premium plan.
Exactly. And they often structure these plans in a way that makes those, higher tiers seem more appealing, even if we don't really need all the extra features.
So it's about like making you feel like you're getting like more value for your money,
Right.
even if you're spending more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so they might, highlight the limitations of the lower tiers.
Yeah.
Make you feel like you're missing out
Right.
if you don't upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
Or they might use social proof,
Oh, okay.
emphasizing how many other users are on the higher tiers.
So if everyone else is doing it, that must be the right choice, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about, creating that sense of normalcy,
Yeah.
belonging.
Okay.
And then there's the tactic of auto renewal.
Oh, yeah.
So those subscriptions that automatically renew
Right.
every month unless we actually cancel them.
Right.
And those can be sneaky.
Yeah.
And so retailers, they know that many people will simply forget to cancel.
Yeah.
And that leads to ongoing charges, even if they're not using the service anymore.
So it's all about inertia, right?
That's right.
Just, hoping we'll stick with the status quo,
That's right.
even if it's not, in our best interest.
Exactly.
Do they make it easy to cancel?
Not always. They often make the cancellation process difficult, requiring, multiple steps or burying the cancellation option deep within their websites.
Like they're making it harder to leave.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Creating a barrier to exit,
That's right.
which, can be very frustrating
Right.
for consumers, who are trying to like manage their subscriptions and their budgets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's important to be aware of these tactics and be proactive about managing your subscriptions.
Okay, so we've covered like online shopping, grocery stores, and these subscription services. It seems like spaving tactics are everywhere.
They really are.
Yeah.
But, the good news is that by understanding these tactics,
Right.
and developing, strategies for counteracting them,
Mm-hmm.
we can take back control of our spending.
Yeah.
It's all about being a savvy consumer, making informed choices.
Right.
Resist those tempting traps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great takeaway, right? Like spaving might be everywhere, but like it doesn't have to control us.
That's right.
We can choose to be mindful,
That's right.
right? Make informed decisions that are good for us,
Exactly.
that align with our values
Right.
and our budgets.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about deprivation,
Yeah.
It's about making choices that empower us, that allow us to enjoy life,
Right.
while also managing our finances responsibly.
Yeah, finding that balance.
Right. Yeah.
Back for the final part of our spaving deep dive. We've uncovered all the sneaky tactics, the psychology behind it all. Now let's equip ourselves. We need some strategies to resist those tempting traps and become more mindful spenders.
Yeah, absolutely. It all starts with awareness. Just
Yeah.
recognizing these tactics is the first step to taking control.
Yeah, very true. Now, we've talked about budgeting a little bit, but the sources go beyond just tracking your expenses, right?
Right.
What are some like specific budgeting strategies that they recommend to combat spaving?
So one approach is to allocate, specific amounts for different categories, things like groceries, entertainment, clothing. And this helps you to, prioritize spending and avoid overspending in those areas that are, vulnerable to spaving.
Yeah, it's like creating like a a spending roadmap, right?
Right.
With guardrails to keep us on track.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
What other practical tips did you find in the sources?
Well, the sources highlight, the power of the pause.
Okay.
So before hitting that buy button, especially for those non-essentials,
Yeah.
take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself, do I really need this?
Right.
Does this align with my, my long-term financial goals?
So it's shifting like from the impulsive reaction
Right.
to like an intentional decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about all those like tempting marketing emails, right?
Oh, yeah.
Notifications.
Huh.
Any strategies for dealing with those?
Well, unsubscribing from tempting email lists
Right.
and marketing messages, I mean, that can drastically reduce exposure to those spaving triggers.
Okay.
So, you're not constantly bombarded with limited time offers and flash sales that, are preying on that impulse to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like creating a peaceful sanctuary
Right.
for your inbox, right?
Free from all those like spending nudges.
Exactly.
What other insights did you gather from the sources?
Well, the sources really caution against being lured in by free offers
Right.
and bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, nothing is truly free.
Right.
Those freebies, they often come with strings attached.
Right.
Enticing us to spend more to qualify.
Yeah, it's a classic marketing ploy, right?
Yeah.
They're banking on us getting so fixated on the free that we overlook like the bigger picture.
Exactly.
What about managing those sneaky subscription services? Any tips for avoiding spaving traps there?
Well, be vigilant about those auto renewals.
Yeah.
The sources recommend setting reminders to review your subscriptions regularly and canceling any that you're no longer using or that have become too expensive.
Yeah, those auto renewals are like silent budget drainers.
Yeah.
You forget about them until you see that charge on your statement, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Beyond these like specific tips, the sources seem to emphasize like a broader shift in mindset.
Right.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, one powerful concept they highlight is cultivating gratitude
Okay.
for what you already have.
Yeah.
And so when you appreciate your existing possessions, you're less likely to fall prey to that allure of constantly acquiring new things.
Yeah, that's such an important point, right?
It is.
Like gratitude helps us break free from that cycle of wanting more.
That's right.
Yeah.
The sources also emphasize the importance of community.
Okay.
Talking to friends, family about these spaving tactics, sharing experiences, strategies.
Yeah.
It can create a support system for making those more mindful spending choices. It's recognizing that we're not alone in this, right?
Yeah.
Like spaving affects everybody.
It does.
But by sharing, our knowledge and our experience, we can kind of empower each other.
Absolutely.
To make smarter decisions.
That's a great way to sum it up.
Yeah.
It's about reclaiming our power as consumers.
Yeah.
And making choices that align with our true values and our financial well-being.
Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground in this spaving deep dive.
I think so too.
We've explored the tactics, the psychology, and most importantly the strategies for taking back control of our spending.
Right.
Yeah.
And remember, spaving is, it's a pervasive force, in our consumer culture, but it doesn't have to dictate our choices.
Right.
By being aware, informed, intentional, we can navigate the marketplace with confidence and create a life of greater financial well-being.
That's a great message to end on. Thanks for guiding us through this fascinating deep dive.
Well, thank you for having me.
And until next time, everyone, stay savvy and remember, every spending decision is a chance to vote with your wallet.